Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator news and updates. And we have some new softwares for your entertainment enhancement, some new aircraft releasing, including a Boeing 767 now available in the simulator, Cessna CJ3, some new information from PMDG. Is it time to move to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 and more? So stick around. If you are interested in any of my tutorial guides for Microsoft Flight Simulator, or simply interested in supporting the channel, consider joining me on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides as well as any future guides that come down the road. Patreon link can be found in the description below. Alright, so starting out, we are revisiting a software that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, and that is the VA Systems. The VA Systems, again, is a relatively new software, but this new systems panel offers a bunch more opportunity to, I should say, enhance your flight sim experience by giving you other things to do outside of the standard. So through the website, there are 20 airline schedules and 20 airport packages available. You do have to purchase these, and then once they're purchased, they are then available through the different panels within the software. But, so here's how this works. Both packs include the entire winter 2024 schedule, with more to come in the future. Every 6 months, the team will release a new schedule pack for the following season. Summer 2025 season will begin to release in June. On Marketplace, the team has released 10 products that will stagger throughout the remaining throughout May. Sorry guys, it's very late here. It's about 3 a.m. so forgive me if I trip over my tongue about 28 times. Now, in order to access these activities, as we talked about, after purchase, you can then select them from within the VA Systems panel. You will be able to select the season, including the ability to use historical flights as well. And then you can operate the route. A search and filter option will make finding the specific routes and airports easier. Plus, you will also have a favorites option to, designate a favorite path or favorite schedule that you want to fly repetitively. The activity page itself gives you the briefing, dispatch, fuel, weight, and flight plan information, and then everything you need to operate the flight. Now, these new schedule packs are designed to work with any aircraft and are not limited to the mission style from the past release. SimBrief support is not yet available, but is something that is looking to be added later on in the future. So with this entire paneling system, basically you can create your own virtual airline system. I shouldn't say create. You can fly a virtual airline system without the need to necessarily being a part of one. You simply get to fly the real world routes. Current airline packs include British Airways, American Airlines, Emirates, China, Qantas, Lufthansa, Delta, Japan Airlines, and about a dozen more. Airport list, I know that we'll touch on the big ones here. You have London Heathrow, Jackson Hartsfield, Dubai, Beijing, Sydney, Paris, Los Angeles, see here, Sao Paulo, London Gatwick, Chicago O'Hare. I mean, you got, again, about another dozen and a half more on top of that. So there is a bunch of locations and routes that you can fly that are real world routes, real world operation, real world operators to really enhance the commercial experience. If you're ever wondering, where to fly, how to fly a realistic route and realistic operation from the company of the livery that you're choosing, this is a great way to take advantage of that. So it's a really slick tool. It's pretty impressive operation. I have to say that I haven't picked it up yet because I don't get to fly the commercial airliners as often as I would like. And I feel like this is definitely more designed around someone who's really big into commercial flight. You fly the commercial aircraft a lot. And if you're able to do that and able to designate that kind of time or dedicate that kind of time to it, I think this is a fantastic utility. So again, this is the VA Systems panel. Next up, a big kicker in the show today, you guys. A Boeing 67 is now available from Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now, settle down here because we're going to talk a lot about this. I am going to absolutely be picking this aircraft up because it's priced absolutely perfectly, and the Boeing 67 and 57 are two of my favorite commercial airliners. But let's talk about them so that way we can set the expectations. So, RHD Simulations has released the Boeing 67-200 and 200ER for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. The Boeing 67-200 is the original model of the Boeing 67 series, the wide-body twin-engine jet airliner designed for medium to long-haul routes. Boeing developed this in the late 1970s, and United Airlines was the first customer to operate the aircraft, with its first passenger flight in September of 1982. Then you had the Boeing 767-200ER, which is obviously the extended range version of the 200, coming later in 1984. So, with the beautiful history of the aircraft, let's talk about what RHD Simulations is actually bringing with their rendition of the Boeing 67-200. So, with the 200 and 200ER, you have the General Electric CF6 engine variants. It features accurate and highly detailed modeling, both in 4K and 8K texturing. You have the authentic flight models. You have a custom sound pack, custom true-to-life animations, a modified PFD, MFD, ECAS, and engine and status screens, custom fuel systems, dynamic lighting, modified and custom systems, fully modeled cabins with an even working flight attendant panel for lighting controls. I actually haven't tried out any of the flight attendant panels for any of the aircraft yet. I have to do that. Functioning TV screens, which I'm kind of wondering what that's going to do to FPS, if anything at all. Custom IFE for liveries, and working seatbelt and no smoking signs. I found that kind of interesting that they actually, I would assume that they mean in the cabin. So when you flip the no smoking seatbelt signs, I'm guessing that they come on in the cabin. And then 31 high definition liveries. That is a lot of liveries. I will give them that. Now, here's the kicker. RHD Simulations, Boeing 767-200 and the 200ER are very specifically mentioned as not study level and do make use of some of the default Boeing 747, which caught me off guard, systems. However, a large degree of them are custom. Now, here's the part that kicks me. At first, when I first read that, all I got was Vietnam flashbacks of, what was it, the Captain Sims 777. That's the first thing that hit me right in the face. I'm like, oh no, here we go. But it sounds like it's nowhere near that. So first, we're going to talk about the features of the aircraft in regard to a quick high-level review. So again, you have the 200, the 200ER. You have accurate modeling of the exterior, the flight deck, and the cabin. You have both 4K and 8K PBR textures. The animations, flight services, landing gear components, and doors, wing flex animations. You have custom animations of various cockpit elements, side windows, seats, armrests, entry doors. So a lot of I guess cinematic features is what I call those usually. Things that are going to be fun to see in action, but don't necessarily change the way the aircraft flies. Okay, now, what I wish they had specified in this document was what was copied from the 747-8. So I'm kind of curious about that. They don't specify that in their documentation that I've seen yet. I am going to be picking this aircraft up, though, and here's why. So after we've got the high-level view, remember, they've talked about accurate flight modeling, and that's the part that sort of kicks me. So they very specifically stated this is not a study level, so I'm guessing that has to do with system operations, because they've also turned around and said accurate flight modeling, which is good. Don't get me wrong. It's not a bad thing. But the price point, regardless, okay? You have SimMarket and Microsoft Flight Simulator Marketplace for $29.99 pounds. So right around $30 US, give or take, a couple bucks. That to me is fair. And again, just like when, who was it? Who am I trying to, Latin, was it Latin? Latin VFR, who did the A330 series first? Anyway, they did their A20 series first. So they specifically stated when they did their aircraft that they were not study level, and they were supposed to be meant to sort of be a bridge between something like the fly-by-wire and the default. And it sounds like this is sort of the same game here, but quite a bit more. Is just from the reading of it, it sounds like it's quite a bit more advanced than something like the default 747. And everyone knows the default 747 was a nightmare in 2020. Like, it why fly it kind of situation. So it sounds like it's a lot better than that. $30 price range. Keep in mind for the study level aircraft, like if you're looking at something like the Phoenix A320 or even the PMDG aircraft, you're looking at anywhere from 60 to 80 bucks. So cut that price in half, plus a full-on statement saying it's not study level. I think that's more than reasonable. And the 767 again is a really cool aircraft to look at. And the 200 being the earliest of the variants, like so you're going to get that nostalgic cockpit, the flight deck without the more advanced glass cockpit systems and touchscreens and stuff. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to fly. So I'm going to give it a shot. If you guys want to wait for that review on that, stay tuned on that one. But we are going to be trying that one out because, I mean, like I said, all the pieces fit to the price for me. And the feature list sounds like it could be a fun aircraft to fly. All right, guys, next up is an aircraft that I'm super excited about, as we are also going to be showcasing this one on the channel. We already have it in our possession and are going to be flying this bad boy. So this is the Cessna Citation CJ3 Plus, very similar to the CJ4 and right around those same lines of the Cessna Citation Longitude. This thing has a maximum ceiling of 45,000 feet. Now, I know private jets always go quite a bit higher and significantly faster than the commercial aircraft, but it's just crazy when you think about that. Like, I mean, they rocket. The Cessna Citation Cessna Citation. Why is that so hard to say? Cessna Citation. The Citation CJ3 Plus comes with the G3000. Comes with a WWise sound effects, a very popular sound effect panel that is in multiple aircraft inside the simulator. Very, very good sound panel. With an onboard EFB, as you can see here on the screen, on the left side there. Now, from the EFB, you have ground operations, weights, maps, notes, full integration with SimBrief and Navigraph. I love hearing that as it comes right out of the gate. Some of these planes that come out and they don't have SimBrief integration just blows me away. Like, I feel like it should be a staple now. The Cessna Citation CJ3 Plus can be picked up from the sim market at £26.99. So here's what the full feature list looks like as far as detailed. You have an accurate flight model, 8 liveries. Again, the custom G3000 system based on the working title G3000. You have the custom GTC with new pages, initialization, external lights, temps, takeoff, landing data, things like that. So basically, again, a lot of the stuff that we saw in the working title. Custom WWise sounds that we talked about, a stick shaker that actually is a big deal because it's a really fun test to do in a lot of the aircraft. I actually like doing that in the PC-12. You have custom de-icing systems and icing visual effects. I like that. I do not like the default icing effects in the sim. I think they're, I don't know, I just don't like them. Let me just leave it at that before I say something mean that's inappropriate. Again, the EFB, you have your airplane page, which has ground operation as well as your weights. You have your maps. You have a notes page. You have a Navigraph. You have SimBrief. And you have an interactable cabin. If you're one of those ones who's like me and likes to walk around the cabin during a cruise and play with the tables and things like that, that's available. So again, this aircraft will be shown in its entirety here on the channel, and then it's also available on Sim Market for £26.99. Next up, Aeroplane Heaven has announced Spitfire, the early years. Now, I believe this is either the third or the fourth rendition of the Spitfire to reach Microsoft Flight Simulator, which I really don't necessarily have a problem with. The Spitfire is such an amazing aircraft and one of my favorites of World War II. It's probably one of the most aesthetically pleasing warbirds to ever hit the skies, in my opinion. Just an absolutely beautiful airplane. But so we have the, again, early years version for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, which will also be compatible with Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. This new package from Aeroplane Heaven, which was announced via their Facebook page, will include the Supermarine Spitfire prototype, and the early Spitfire Mark I. The Spitfire Supermarine is one of the most iconic fighter aircraft ever produced and a symbol of British resilience and innovation. That is an absolute fact. I will not argue that in one bit. Its first flight took place in March of 1936, and it played a significant role in defending Great Britain during the Battle of Britain in World War II. Another great fact. Gosh, it was such a cool plane. I love the Spitfire, I really do. So, Airplane Heaven mentioned that they will be releasing this package on the MSFS marketplace and that it will carry a special price. They haven't announced the release date as of yet, but obviously as soon as I know more and we know more, you'll know more because I will share it here about the Spitfire. Now, my only thoughts about this is that it's going to be really hard, in my personal opinion, to beat the what can I? Flying Iron Spitfire. That is an amazing rendition of the Spitfire. So it's going to be hard. So it's going to be interesting to also see if they identify the specific differences. Now, again, I believe the Flying Irons is the Mark 9. So, you know, this being the Mark 1 and the prototype, it's going to be kind of interesting to see what kind of significant, if any, differences we're going to be able to tell from a simulation standpoint. So, Airplane Heaven, we'll see what you guys do. Stay tuned for more information on the Spitfire. Next up, out of the house of AnyBuilds. AnyBuilds enters the weekend, and this was actually last week, and I'm a little behind the curve here, with a new release for flight simmers to fly, the Spartan 7 Whiskey Executive. This is a single-engine luxury aircraft that first flew back in 1936. It was favored by wealthy individuals thanks to both the comfort and the performance of the aircraft. For an aircraft of its time, it was relatively high-performing and again considered along the luxurious plan. This aircraft definitely shows its nostalgia. I really like the cell phone tablet look that they got going on with this aircraft. Talk about going back in time. Flat and simple. So, let's talk about some of the features. We have, first, an extensive sound suite developed by none other than Echo 19 Audio. If you guys are unfamiliar with Echo 19, I have preached and praised their work since the worlds of DCS World, since my days of DCS World. They do absolutely amazing. Like I said, it's 3 a.m. Leave me alone. Amazing sound packages. They recently just released one for the P-51 Mustang. If you guys want to go check out my channel for the video on that, you guys can understand the difference. I did a comparison of both with and without the add-on, and trust me, there is a very significant difference. So let's talk about the feature list. We have multiple variants of the aircraft. You have the Classic with the option of switching to either classic instruments or a modern instrument panel on the EFB. With the feel of the classic cabin. You have a modern, this is a full modern cockpit and cabin with Garmin avionics suite, multiple color selections for night lighting in the cabin from the EFB, and a hybrid. This is a modern cockpit with the classic feel of the cabin. Again, you have that authentic sound suite both in the cockpit and external created by Echo 19, a huge plus. Again, you trust me, take my word for it. Just hearing Echo 19, they've sealed the deal for me. You have multiple liveries, a modern in-cockpit EFB to control external and internal elements, external GSE such as rain covers, chocks, oil drip tray, multiple safety flags and pins controlled by the EFB. For FS24, stay tuned, a comprehensive external pre-flight walkaround. So in 2020, all of your reds and everything are controlled through the EFB. In 2024, you can do your walk around and remove everything as you would, as close to real life as they can make it. Enhanced PBR texturing for Flight Simulator 2024. Navigation instruments, autopilot, radio, and comms integrated into the various classic and modern cockpits of the aircraft. This is another one that as soon as I saw it, I bought it. And here is the reason why. This thing is only $15. Okay, it came out to I think it was just shy of $20 US. So I already picked this up. This is another one we are definitely going to be flying. It just looks neat. Yeah, I said it. I said neat. What do you got? Anyway, so you guys stay tuned for a review on that if you guys want to check this out. But you guys can find it again on the AnyBuild store. Again, $15. Can't go wrong with that. And between AnyBuilds being the one making it, the classic nature and nostalgic nature of the aircraft, and Echo 19 doing the soundscape, they've got me sold before I ever even flew the thing. I haven't even sat in it yet. All right, so this segment's going to be pretty quick. As you guys know, PMD released their 777-200 for Microsoft Flight Simulator. But here's the kicker. This will be the final variant. Actually, it'll be the final release of an aircraft from PMDG that will support both 2020 and 2024. Hence, moving forth, PMDG will only be developing for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, as many of you probably are already aware of. So it begs the question finally. The question finally is it time to move to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 permanently? I don't know that I'm willing to say yes, is my honest opinion on that, but I am willing to say that we are very, very close if it is not actually time. The reason why I say that is basically the release of Sim Update Beta 2, or Sim Update 2 Beta, I would say. There have been very, very significant improvements to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. And I've been saying this ever since its release. Even as terrible as it reminded me of 2020. And I said we'd be looking at probably 5 to 6 months before it was ironed out to a condition where 2024 would begin to take over the skies over 2020. Excuse me. Now, for me, there's still a big couple of kickers that make it very difficult for me to personally switch over completely. I do not like the UI interface of 2024. It feels very arcade to me. It feels very, well, let's call it what it is. It feels very Xbox to me. At the same token, that was part of the game. That was part of the situation that we knew was going to be the case with 2024. So I don't necessarily say that it's an issue with 2024 or Microsoft itself. I think it's just I got used to the last 4 years or 5 years now coming up on of using 2020, and I'm comfortable with it. I'm someone who, when it comes to certain softwares, I don't like change when it comes to things like that. And it's really funny. I'm very picky on what I like changing on what I don't. And this is one of those things that I'm very comfortable with 2020. 2020 is easy. It's an easy UI. It's an easy interface, with the exception of using the control scheme. But I don't use the control scheme on either one of them. I use SPAD.next. I hate the controller interface for binding your keys in both simulators, so it doesn't really matter. Now, I will say that as 2024 continues to progress, I do see it, for example, by the end of its first year in release, I think it will finally take over 2020. There are so many features and so many advancements in 2024 that don't exist in 2020, and so many capabilities that are available to be had in 24 that 2020 flat out cannot do. For example, the nature of the new very high definition scenic areas. You know, remember when they were talking about it before their release, the idea is that by the time it's in fruition, just about the entire globe will be in high definition. So, you know, if you want to go somewhere, anywhere in the world and see scenery that doesn't have any melted trees, melted mountains, etc., you're going to have it. So PMDG is the first, I think, of many developers that will eventually start to take this route. And that's why I wanted to post this along these lines. I think PMDG is sort of leading the train on that, but I can see many other developers reaching the point where 2020 stops being not supported, but further developed for. And again, I think that has to go with the fruition and the overall development of 2024 and the features that it's going to offer. You know, for example, from a developer standpoint, the walk around alone. The walk around is a very, very, it's a game winner. You know, for the aircraft that it works on, it definitely is a very huge enhancement to the simulation experience. So I have to hand it to them for that. That's really hard to argue with. It's really one of those things that's hard to say, no, that's not worth turning it over. So with that in mind, I'm kind of curious, what do you guys think? Do you think it's time? Do you think that 2024 is ready? Have you been in 2024 yet? Are you someone who is like me, who stepped away from 2024 for a while and have slowly started coming back into it? And if so, what are your thoughts? And if you're on Sim Update Beta 2, or Sim Update 2 Beta, that's the second time I've said it like that, let me know what your guys' thoughts are, and put your honest opinions down in the comments. That way other people can sort of get their impressions from someone other than just a content creator, and users just like yourself who are going through it and going through the growing pains, and tell people what you think. And, you know, be honest. Just be nice, guys. Be kind in the comments, okay? Even if you have full disagreement, be kind, please. But anyways, as always, folks, that's going to wrap up today's video. I hope you guys found some useful information, some fun information, exciting information, or at the very least, just enjoyed the soothing sound of my beautiful voice. Yeah, right. As always, guys, stay safe and healthy. I'll see you in the next one.